Hey guys, so today I'm excited to announce an exclusive interview with comic book artist, screenwriter, television producer, and novelist Marc Guggenheim. Enjoy.
Hello?
Yeah, hi Marc, this is Belle Goodrow calling.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Thanks for being so accommodating with all the scheduling.
Hey, no problem.
issues.
No problem at all.
Cool. Well, what can I do for you? What can I tell you?
Oh, I got a bunch of questions for Trollhunters and Arrow, so all that stuff right there.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So first off with Trollhunters, how did the project start with you?
Oh, good question. DreamWorks came to me. They had a script for the Trollhunters feature that it was written by another writer. They didn't feel it was working, and they asked me what I would do with the script, and I kind of, I pitched a lot of sort of big picture structural changes because the real challenge of Guillermo's concept that was first sort of realized in novel form was that it was too rich and too big to really fit into a 90-minute movie. And I think the biggest problem that that the draft that they had was that the writer had attempted to fit everything into a 90-minute movie. So I sort of pitched a restructure that would streamline it considerably. But even then, I have to say, I had a lot of. It was very, very. What's it called? Even though it was very dense. There was a lot of there was a lot of different ideas still represented. So when when Netflix said, "Hey, we would love to do this," when we planned to do this as a TV series, it was like, oh, finally, like we're no longer constrained by this 90-minute format. So that really, really helped a lot.
All right, and with working on Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow, how do you find the time to work on Trollhunters?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, it's a good question. I juggle a lot of different things. I mean, Trollhunters. My involvement in Trollhunters started over 5 years ago in the first season of Arrow. So at the time there was no Legends, so that made life a little bit easier. And then when it went to series, we brought in Kevin and Dan Hageman to run the writers, and they did an amazing job and really took a lot off my plate. And Rodrigo Blas and Chad Hamas and Christina Steinberg, director and producers, did a huge amount of heavy lifting. So it really the answer to the question is I got a chance to work with a lot of pretty amazing people who helped me made it so that I didn't have to do everything myself.
Did you have to go back and forth to different locations to be able to work on all the projects?
Yeah, the Arrow and Legends offices are all in the same building. The DreamWorks offices are about 20 to 40 minutes away, depending on traffic.
Oh, okay.
So it's not too bad. Usually it's closer to 20 minutes, and I can jump back and forth with relative ease. I mean, truth be told, in Los Angeles, 20 minutes is about the fastest you can get to any place.
Okay.
So it's pretty good, pretty convenient.
Okay, so it's worth driving for these projects?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have to say, Trollhunters has been, it's been such a labor of love. I have really just always, had so much fun with the project. I would find it really reinvigorated me for my other projects. It was very inspiring. It's, like I said, I was working with incredibly talented people, and that includes Guillermo del Toro.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really fantastic. It's really, it's wonderful. It's very, it's very reinvigorating and inspiring to work with talented, passionate people. It makes you more talented and passionate.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, that was pretty cool.
And what is it like working with Guillermo?
I always describe it as like going to film school, because Guillermo, is just so, he's so smart, and he's so talented, and he's so intuitive. He really is, he's the real deal.
Yeah.
And I defy anyone to sort of spend more than 5 minutes with him and not learn something about, the art of filmmaking. And part of that also is because he's very generous with his time. And he's very generous with his spirit.
Mm-hmm.
You're learning in part by osmosis because he's just so brilliant, but also you're learning a lot because he's essentially a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And it's part of his really, really lovely way of being.
Mm-hmm. And before working with him, did you have a favorite film that he worked on?
I'm a real sucker for Pan's Labyrinth. I would say, I look at Pan's Labyrinth and I go, wow, that's just an amazing bit of filmmaking. So that's sort of my objective favorite, but my subjective favorite, because I'm a big comic book fan, are the two Hellboy movies.
Mm-hmm. And when you're working on Trollhunters and DC TV shows, what are the difference for you working on Trollhunters, which is animated, and when you have to go back to Legends of Tomorrow and Arrow, which are live version? What is live action versus animation? Where does everything go?
Go in terms of what's the difference, or?
Yeah. What?
Oh, it's funny. I would say it's a good question. It's a very complicated to answer.
Mm-hmm.
Because on the one hand, live action is not all that different from. On the one hand, live action is not all that different from animation. There's still a lot of the same kind of budgetary problems and
mm-hmm.
challenges and everything. On the other hand, it's the way the production is undertaken is incredibly different, obviously.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, it's very difficult to articulate in a sort of a short way.
Mm-hmm.
I generally feel like it's, it's a very unsatisfying answer, but they're very similar, but also completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Is really the truth of the matter.
Okay. And what's easier to work on, Arrow, Legends, or Trollhunters?
That's a good question. I would say, truth be told, it depends on the day.
Okay.
Because some days Arrow's the easiest. Other days it's Trollhunters the easiest. Other days it's Legends. It really depends. It totally varies. And I think the thing that you grow to realize is each day you're working on a different episode of one of the shows, and there's a different challenge and a different problem that you have to solve. And there's some days where everything goes really well and you try, and then there are other days that you try to avoid where nothing's going well. Everything's a disaster.
Right.
So I would say, no show is completely difficult. No show is completely easy, and it really does vary. The thing I love about the business is I love the fact that I don't know what's going to happen.
Okay.
And I really do like the fact that there is, that there are days that I can't predict. That's, that's pretty exciting to me.
Right. Right. And the late Anton Yelchin lent his voice on the show before passing away last year. What was it like working with him?
He's He's amazing. I mean, I didn't get a chance to work with him a huge amount. What the interactions I had with him were incredibly positive. He was just a really, really sweet, hard-working, talented guy. So really a very gentle soul. So that was really that was a blow to everybody. And I think we all found it very, very difficult to work on the show in the weeks and even months after his death.
Right. Yeah, it's very sad. I was very sad about his death.
I mean, it took me days just to get over the shock of it.
Yeah.
I really, it was one of those things that was so unexpected and so random that it took days literally just to process the information.
Right. Yeah. So, next question. You have written many comic books for both Marvel and DC. Which was your favorite to write? What story is your favorite?
Gosh, I would say it's probably always the one I just finished writing. I tend to really favor the youngest children. I would say probably my all-time favorite comic, like single issue of a comic, was Amazing Spider-Man 574, and it was a sort of a self-contained issue about Flash Thompson fighting in the Iraq War. And I'm just immensely proud of that issue. Barry Kitson did the art, and I'm a long-time Barry Kitson fan, and that was one of those, that was one of those, issues where everything just came together, and I felt like, I somehow for 22 pages managed to raise the level of my game, and that was really, really nice.
And who is your favorite character from both Marvel and DC?
Oh gosh, that also changes, quite frankly. Some days it's Batman, other days it's Spider-Man. Some days it's Wolverine. Yeah. I would say probably those three, but they really, some days it's King Pride. I mean, it does vary. It's so hard to pick just one.
Okay. We'll come back to that later. So next question, sure. I guess, we should say, should we expect to see another 4-way crossover with the Flash, Arrow, Legends, and Supergirl this year?
Yep. God help us. We're already hard at work on it.
Alrighty, that's exciting.
It is exciting. I'm very excited about it. It's a huge amount of work, but it's incredibly gratifying.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I love the other crossover that we had this year with everyone coming together. I was blown away.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah, they're always they are my favorite thing to do every year. They're very, very challenging, but a lot of fun. I mean, just a lot of fun to work on.
So, what is your favorite season of Arrow so far?
Oh, that's hard. It's hard to pick.
Episode.
It's hard to pick. I would say, I love season 2, and I love season 5. Those are probably my two favorite.
Yeah, season 5. I would guess.
It's not really hard for me to pick a favorite. I only see the stuff that's wrong. I only see the stuff that I wish I could go back and fix.
That's funny. So, what should fans expect for the next season of Arrow?
I'm sorry, what's my what?
What should the fans expect for the 6th season of Arrow?
I heard the beginning, I heard the end. What's in the middle before 6th season?
What should fans expect to see for the next season of Arrow? What should we look forward to? I'm sorry?
What I'm most excited to see?
Yeah. What should we prepare for the next season of?
I would say it's a good question. I mean, I always try it's very hard to talk about season 6 because of the way season 5 ended. Season 5 was, such a cliffhanger in terms of almost everyone on the show being placed in jeopardy. One thing I've discovered is it's really, really difficult to talk about season 6 without spoiling anything.
Right.
But I would say, I think the thing I like about season 6 as it slowly starts to develop is it really feels like a continuation of season 5.
Okay.
I think we always, explored the first 5 seasons were always, like we always said we wanted each season to have its own identity, and you'd be able to sort of tune in, randomly to any episode, and then, immediately know which season, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that you were watching. And I think, I guess with season 6, I kind of lost interest in doing that. I was more interested in, I really liked the version of the show that we were doing in season 5. I felt like we leaned into a lot of our strengths, and I think, when we were talking about season 6 and planning it out, I started thinking more in terms of, like, rather than doing it different from season 5, just doing it better than season 5. I became more enamored with the idea of topping season 5 than trying to do something radically different from it.
Yeah, season 5 with the perfect ending, and also a really great cliffhanger that you don't have to think about for a while.
Yeah, I'm very happy not to be doing serialized flashbacks anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, the flashbacks just kind of start to get a little annoying, no offense.
No, I think it was tough on the fans, and it was very tough on us. I'm proud of the stories that we told. I actually think some of the flashbacks stuff was pretty cool, but I recognize, like, I think over the course of the first 5 years, people started to have an expectation of the flashbacks in terms of how much story that we could actually tell in what were essentially 5 to 6 scenes per episode than we really could from a production and screen time standpoint. So I think it was one of those cases where we started to, there was a divergence from what we could do just from, as producers and writers to what the audience was expecting. I think, there's something very freeing about not having to service a serialized flashback story. It's very, very liberating. Right.
Yeah, I can totally understand that. So, how hard was it to say goodbye to John Barrowman?
How would I? Oh, why did we? I'm sorry. What about John?
How hard was it to say goodbye to John?
It was pretty hard. I mean, look, it was hard. What makes it very complicated is, you're never really saying goodbye to any of these characters or any of these actors, because the truth of the matter is, and we said this to John, if you look, I want to say, like, almost every single character who's died on any of the shows has come back in some way, shape, or form, because we now have flashbacks and time travel and alternate, parallel Earths.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, after Matt Lesher's character, Eobard Thawne, died on Legends, he, after we wrapped him, he and I were on the phone, and he's like, I'm bummed that was my last episode. And I said, dude, like, again, everyone also comes back, and, like, your characters even died before.
Yeah.
Katie Lotz's character has died before. So, I think it makes it, I can't speak for the actors, but it certainly makes it easier on us as producers, to say, like, hey, you're coming. I mean, it's just like, another really good example is Katie Cassidy when, when her character died on in Arrow season 4. We didn't have any plans to bring her back as Black Siren, but we said, look, again, there are parallel universes, there's time travel. There was even the animated, the CW series, and actually Katie's first return to the universe was to provide the voice of Laurel Lance, as in the Vixen season 2. I think she recorded that, like, after she had already wrapped on Arrow season 4. So, no one, it's never goodbye. It's always just see you later.
And you were speaking of time travel. If you were to travel back in time, where would you go?
Oh, great question. That's a really good question. I'm going to pick two because I can't just pick one. I would either go back to the time of the Renaissance or back to the time of Jesus because I'd like to really find out what was going on there.
Okay. So I got a lot of my friends who found out we were talking today. A bunch of them wanted to ask questions about Jonah Hex. Fans want to see him have a series regular or a spin-off. What would happen if we bring Jonah Hex back? Jonathan Schaech's portrayal of the character. Would we be able to see that?
Well, I love Jonathan. I love Jonathan's interpretation of Hex, and he and I, speak occasionally. And I can definitely say we have a really cool idea for Hex for the next Hex episode.
Mm-hmm.
So stay tuned. I can't I can't announce anyone's sort of involvement at this point.
Right.
But, I think at this point, Jonathan's a part of the show, and we always love, not only having him, but also having, having what's it called? Having him as part of the, rubric of characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, John is a good friend of mine. He has said nothing but great things about the show and being a part of the DC universe and playing Jonah Hex. So I want to.
Yeah, he's really awesome. He's also just a total gentleman, which is nice. And he's really great as a character. So stay tuned.
Yeah, he's totally fantastic. So I got one more question. Are there any exciting projects that you're currently working on apart from the TV shows that you're willing to share?
Well, I'm working on they're the shows, and I also write X-Men Gold for Marvel Comics.
Okay.
And then everything else is Warren Ellis described a writer's career is a lot like an iceberg, where the stuff that people know about, that's just the top of the iceberg, and there's a lot lurking underneath the water. I'm fortunate enough to say that definitely applies to my workload as well. There's a lot of stuff that I'm working on that hasn't been announced yet that I really can't talk about. But
okay.
Certainly Arrow Legends, Trollhunters, and X-Men. That alone is a pretty full plate.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky. I have they're all dream gigs for me.
All right. I'm pretty excited for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks so much, and best of luck.
All right, you too. I'll see you on Twitter.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Bye.
All right, bye.